Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls One Doc. It's your girl BD, and Florence the fiance is on hiatus, so today we have another special guest. She is truly one of my favorite people ever. I actually had stopped recruiting for friends. I was kind of like, yeah, I'm good, all the slots have been taken, I have everyone I need, and then wow, bam, she came along and I was like, God's sake, gotta remember another birthday. We lived together for a year in Manchester. I had an amazing time. She is my Scouse adjacent babe. She is an amazing chef, and she is ultimately the plant mum that I aspire to be. It is Vikki. Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I feel very honoured.
Yeah, I feel like we've mentioned you bare times as well, so it's only right.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm famous. I'm joking.
Okay. Also, because we have a lot of listeners who are not from the UK, and they may be confused by your accent because you do not sound like anyone who's ever been on this show.
That's probably
to date.
Very true. Yeah.
And so, sis is from, I want to say Liverpool, but you're not from Liverpool. You can be like, no, actually, I'm from the Wirral.
Suddenly, I'm from like Birmingham as well.
Yeah. Anything north of London, all them accents that all to say to me. But yeah, so she's from like next to Liverpool, innit? So for any Drag Race fans, it's where the Vivian's from.
Yes. And also Danny Beard.
Yeah. You got some heavy hitters on your side,
you
boy.
know what? Liverpool does produce some wonders. You got the Beatles.
Yeah, you guys are a charismatic bunch.
Yeah,
you guys are a charismatic bunch. But yeah, that's what that accent is, in case you were confused. So today we're drinking, and because sis lives not in London, yeah, and I did not have the time or the facilities all the funds to get all the way up there, innit? So we are recording remotely, all right? So we're not drinking the same thing. I'm drinking, obviously, Jammy Red Roux, my red wine fave, okay? And you look like you've done a little cocktail. Yeah, you look like you've done a little cocktail situation.
Yeah, I made myself a Saint Germain, or Germain, if you're French.
Saint-Germain.
There we go.
What's that, the football team? Isn't that football team?
Yes, Paris Saint-Germain.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, look at you knowing football teams.
Listen, a couple sports documentaries, look at me. I'll be knowing.
My husband was actually asking if you would think about doing the FIFA documentary.
I was going to do the FIFA one. I was actually going to do it with my sister, because you know my sister's very into football.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
But it's 4 episodes.
Oh, you could do a series.
If it was just one documentary, like, I would have done it for sure. But 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's a bit long.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, and I have to get all these done before the wedding, innit? So like, it's a lot. Maybe in the future, who knows, innit? But I watched it and it was mad. Like, I was like, rah.
I still haven't watched it, you know. Like, he keeps telling me like, oh, Vikki, you'd really enjoy it, obviously.
You should watch it. You should watch, because even now with everything happening with the whole like, oh, can they take alcohol out there, blah blah blah. It's kind of like rah, like the way that you man fought, or like the way
alcoholics. Don't include me.
It's crazy. No. I'm talking about the way, like, in terms of when they were assigning who was going to host the games.
Right, yeah.
You should watch that. If you guys haven't seen that FIFA Uncovered, yeah, it's on Netflix. Amazing documentary.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
You should. But that's not the documentary we're doing today.
No.
Today, we are doing the boy band con, the Lou Pearlman story. Now, this is a YouTube documentary. They make documentaries now, apparently. I mean, it's actually only a matter of time, I guess. It kind of makes sense, yeah, for them to have original documentaries.
I thought it was well done for YouTube.
Yeah, for YouTube, yeah. There were certain times where I was like, ugh. And apparently Lance Bass, he produced it.
Yeah, I saw it in the credits.
And it's like his first one. And I was like, oh, okay, well done to him. Like, it was his first one. So, like, I'm here for it. Do you know what I mean?
Him.
But yeah, exactly. But it's kind of like, okay, I want better from going forward, essentially. But it was good. Like, it was good. So the documentary opens up with a montage of people talking about this guy called Lou Pearlman. There's also audio that we hear of this Lou Pearlman guy basically saying that, like, he never would have planned to hurt people, he never would have done this, and like all the talking heads are alternating between people saying he was either really amazing or he was really horrible. And at this point it's like, what is what is happening? Deal? Yeah, what is the deal? Like, what's going on? And then we hear on the audio Lou saying,
you know the old saying, those that believe, no explanation is necessary. Those that don't believe, no explanation will suffice.
And it's one of those things where it's like, are you guilty? Are you looking funny in the light?
Yeah, that's kind of like a weird kind of shady kind of comment, isn't it? Well, not comment, but like, what do you mean? Because obviously at the end of the documentary, you're like, okay, I get why he said that. But from the outset, you're looking and thinking, well, what could possibly... Why would somebody say something like this?
It just sounds bad. It's just kind of like, okay, something is amiss. What happened exactly?
And I thought, like you said, like obviously, like it's not the most well produced, documentary, but like the storytelling, I thought, even with this kind of opening, it kind of got you quite intrigued.
It was good. It was well done, especially considering like the story. Like there was a lot of timelines and a lot of like things to piece together, and I think they did it well. I think you can just tell that it was a first documentary, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So then we get what we can only assume is the intro, right? But the one thing I love about this intro, is this NSYNC song. It's like interspersed between the don't you ever wonder why this music gets you high. I literally was like, nah, I loved NSYNC.
You were an
so
NSYNC
much.
babe.
I loved them.
Wow.
Like I remember there was one Christmas and I got this like, back then they used to have these like random like electronic toy things,
Wait, what?
and it kind of had like a little screen on it, but like it had like an NSYNC song on it, and you'd like press the button and like a section of it would play. I can't remember exactly what the toy was.
I know what
I
you
wanted
mean.
it so bad. Is it ringing a bell? Like
I feel like, I don't know if McDonald's used to do toys like that as well. You remember when they used to have like amazing
like
toys?
little ones. I don't know. This one was like my parents had to go out and buy it. I remember it and I loved
like,
it.
Obviously, it wasn't on the same level. It was like mini,
But it's a similar thing. They used to do
Yeah.
them sorts of like, it was so, I loved NSYNC. So as in I was like, nah, their music actually bangs, like even till today, when this, because in this documentary like bare music comes up and I'm just like, right, nah, what
it
a
just
time to
takes
be
you
alive.
back.
It just takes you back.
Do you know what? Like I liked NSYNC and I liked Backstreet Boys, but I was a Blue babe. Like,
oh wow, you're really a UK babe, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently. Northern through and through.
Is that the one? That's the one with Simon in it, the black guy.
Simon Webb, yeah.
What song did they sing? What's their main song?
Oh my gosh, you're really testing me. Blue.
Listen, we have Google. Let me go and check. Simon Webb, that's it.
Yeah, Simon Webb, and there's Anthony. What's the other guy?
All rise.
All rise.
For the money
for the
and
mother's pride. All rise. For the
Okay,
times we cried, all
yeah.
rise. I'll stay alive.
Oh yeah, do you know what? They actually were.
I will survive. Yeah, they were amazing.
Do you know what? That boy band era was like, or band era. Because remember Big Bro? This is Big Bro.
Oh yes.
Taking over the show.
I actually still listen to them. They're on one of my playlists.
the British bands. I know that's not what we're here for, but the British bands,
really
like
were
they
killing
did.
it.
And then we had Mystique. So scandalous. We had S Club 7.
They were unbelievable. I mean, obviously Spice Girls.
Oh come on,
You can't talk about
Sugar
bands.
Babes.
Yeah, Sugar Babes were actually my guys.
I'm too
And I
lost
actually
in
liked
you.
it with Muttier, and I also liked it with Siobhan.
Yeah, I just remember Keisha, and then everyone else was kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, Keisha was the consistent one. She was the one from the very beginning.
So I don't remember which albums had which other people on it, but I just remember that like Keisha was that bitch basically. But yeah, no, like I was definitely an NSYNC babe. Like, and Backstreet Boys, I love Backstreet Boys too, but I think if I had to choose one back then, I really was an NSYNC babe. And so it's crazy, like growing up and watching this documentary, hearing what was going on behind the scenes. Like we were just out here buying albums and dancing and making up routines and stuff. These men were fighting for their lives.
Can you believe? Do you know what? I remember watching it, and like, because I was on the train coming back from London, I was watching it, and I was like trying really hard to like conceal my shock, because it was like a busy train. It was like 8 p.m.
And a listener, Vikki is a very dramatic babe. Like Vikki is someone who like gasps audibly. Like
all for the smallest things,
like all the time. So I can only imagine you being on the train, in the silent carriage.
I was really trying like to hold my facial, because it was like every seat was taken. It was crowded. People were standing. Packed, It was a Friday evening at 8 p.m. Everyone was coming back up north, so it was busy. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then like when certain things happened, my mouth just dropped, and the lady next to me was just like, what
is wrong with this
girl? What are you watching?
You might as well put your captions on so she can watch it too. Yeah, it is crazy. It's just crazy to think that these things were happening, but it's not surprising considering the music industry, but obviously it's only now that people are aware of like how fucked the music industry is,
and the lengths people go to like dupe folks and like con them.
Yeah, exactly. So Lou Pearlman, he was a guy responsible for a lot of the boy bands in the early 2000s. He's described as being the Barry Gordy of his time. And so when they said that, I was like, okay, this kind of puts it into perspective, because like Barry Gordon, Motown, Hello, like big names, that's kind of what Lou Pearlman was, but just like creepier. So we get a lot of talking heads in this documentary, and like not all of them in my opinion are relevant.
I only wrote down the names that I needed to write down.
So exactly. And so the first one I wrote down was this lady called Lori Majewski, who is the founder or co-founder of Teen People magazine. And she, at like a glance, I know you're not like a Real Housewives babe, but for my Real Housewives babes out there, she kind of looks like Sutton from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like when she was first on screen, I was like, oh, Sutton, is that you? And then like I looked at her properly, I was like, hey, no, it's definitely not her. But yeah, we're at the point in the documentary where they're sort of setting the scene, right? So we're learning all about this Lou Pearlman guy, and Laurie's basically saying like, whatever you expect a music mogul to act like, look like, be like, Lou is basically the opposite. And someone else describes him as a cherubic little guy. And I think that was so rude, but very accurate.
As a child, 100% I see that.
Yeah, like you can imagine with the wings, isn't it?
Yeah, like very like chubby and round, like cute.
Yeah, rotund.
Yeah, rotund. That's a very, very good description.
It is, isn't it? So now we see AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys, and he says that if Lou wasn't in music, he would have made a really great car salesman. And I think that this is another really accurate description of him, because he kind of gives like sleazy car salesman.
Yeah, that like
he's not well put together. Yeah, very slippery fish. Like, and he's a big guy, but that's not the problem. The problem is that like he doesn't dress for his size. It's like his clothes are either too baggy or too tight. Like the shirts are tucked in, but then like he just looks a bit disheveled all the time. Like every clip we see of him, it's like, bro, like get it together.
I think like some people kind of said he was kind of like a big kid, wasn't he? Like didn't really grow up.
I think everyone is like their inner child.
Yeah, deep down.
Like it's like I mean we'll get into him, but he has a really nice house with a pool, like nice cars. He's got a limo driver. And like he'd always have these parties for like the boy bands, and it kind of seems like, oh, do you know what, like he seems like a really nice guy, but really it's like he wanted to be wanted so bad. It's like he wanted people to like want him or love him or like want to be friends with him. He's kind of a beg, so it's kind of like, oh, if I have all these things, people will be attracted to me, and then they'll like me, if not for who I am, but for what I can afford them, sort of thing. That's the vibe that it's giving.
Yeah, it's very much transactional in his relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And so people are getting things and he's getting like attention, so like that's the
makes him feel better, makes him feel good.
I mean it's sad, but hey ho, it's sad, but he's a bad man. So Lance Bass is here, and so is his mum, and they're basically talking about the first time they met Lou. He's promising them the world, you know, selling them dreams, and Lance is 16 at this time and he's buying it, and so is his mum. Now we learn about Transcontinental Records. Okay, this is Lou's record company based in Orlando, Florida. And like I have nothing against Orlando, Florida, but like the talking heads are like, mate, it's like the poor man's LA. Like why would you set up a record company in Orlando? But like Lou uses this as like his breeding ground. Like this is where he's making the boy bands.
It's just so random, isn't it? Like why would you choose Orlando?
It's like Disneyland. Well, someone says actually in the documentary there's Disneyland is there, so a lot of like young performers end up getting gigs at Disneyland, so it's like easy to find people who want to be. That makes
sense.
Yeah, like who have talent and want to be more than what they're doing. So I don't know, maybe it was like just convenient for him to be there, and then everything else worked out. I don't know. But
it's just like not where you think of when you think of like show business and you think of like the music and entertainment industry
at all.
But I think from the perspective of like trying to find young talent who are desperate, you know, to make it, and Disney is there, and you've got like a lot of these young stars probably started off on stage or like being characters on these Disney shows and actually in the theme park. I can kind of see how it would be possible.
See it, but I don't think that's the reason you go to Orlando. I think that's like a happy accident.
Yeah,
like a happy coincidence.
Yeah,
because if you go to LA, there's going to be bare people who are getting rejected from like roles and stuff like that.
Because people go to LA to be famous.
Exactly. So I think Orlando, it wasn't like, oh, he's a super genius and he was like, yeah, great, actually I'm gonna go here because of this. I think he went there and it was like, oh, actually, yeah, this works out too. Before this whole music situation, yeah, Lou used to charter planes for famous people and famous bands. One such band was New Kids on the Block. And this bit, yeah, they play that song, Step by Step, ooh baby, gonna get to you, girl. I was like, nah, there's so many. But I was getting so like, I literally was getting, they played, yeah, Pretty Mama, if you're single, you don't gotta be alone tonight. I remember when that song came out, I was in secondary school, yeah, and it's got Neo. It's a Neo feature. It's like when they were trying to come back, like they were older.
I don't think I remember hearing that song, you know.
Oh, I remember it. I loved it so much. Like when because they were a bit older, yeah, and I was thinking, who are these white men like doing a boy band, yeah? And they had that song with Neo, yeah. They had that song with Neo. It was so good, and I loved it so much. And I was like, this documentary, like, I was taking a music break every time I'd watch and the song would come up, and like, oh my god, like
throwbacks.
And I'd go on YouTube and I'd like go and look at the fam, I need to add these all to the playlist. But yeah, it's such good time. It was such a great time of music.
I know, because we were like young as well. Like
we were young, like, literally nothing to worry about.
Worries, nothing to deal with. Just like, ooh, this is fun. And like watching MTV and like watching
Let me
VH1.
go on LimeWire and illegally download these songs.
Gosh. But then getting the Soulja Boy cranked that song. It's like Neo so in love with whatever the song is, and then it's actually Soulja Boy.
It's like Neo _ in _ love _ MP3.
And then you just say do
Soulja Boy, tell him.
Like again. That was a modern day Rickroll.
That was.
It was.
No, that was a tune from. That was actually a tune. Oh, I loved Soulja Boy back in the day with his Tipex glasses. I was like, yeah, that's a bit of me, right?
Yeah, me
that's
too.
A bit of me. It's still my spec. So anyway, we see this clip of Lou being like, rah, like, these kids must be making a lot of money to be able to charter a plane. So just like that, he decides, yeah, I'm trying to get involved, yeah. And so he's like, I'm gonna make my own boy band, because clearly boy bands are making their money if this boy band exactly can charter a plane. So now we hear the rules of putting a boy band together.
Oh yeah, there's like a little recipe.
A boy band is usually 5, sometimes 3, never 4 for some reason, unless somebody leaves. Usually no instruments, sort of club tracks that would have been huge in Europe a few years before, some involved choreography. All 5 members have 5 distinct personalities. They just had incredible charisma, you know? And a 13-year-old girl will lose her mind.
So a band is usually 5, sometimes 3, never 4, unless someone leaves, which is really true.
Yeah, it's true. I think it must be like a symmetry thing.
Yeah, but then 4 is there's got to be a lead, I guess.
Exactly. You have to always have somebody in the middle.
But then I think Pussycat Dolls had there was 6 of them in it. But it was weird because Nicole was
she was there. She routinely told them to turn the mics off.
Nicole, I'm waiting for the documentary about her. I'm not gonna lie.
It should have been Nicole and the Pussycat Dolls. That's what the band should have been called.
That's what it should have been. So now this is my favorite part of the documentary, because they play the call, that Backstreet Boys song. Listen, baby, I'm sorry. Wanna tell you, don't worry. I won't be. I loved that song so much. Like, I loved it so. It's my favorite Backstreet Boys song ever. And I remember the music video because it was so dramatic, and I was like, oh my god, like, I'm going to a place nearby, gotta go, you know. It was very like, oh my god.
So dramatic.
What's gonna happen? That's such a great song. I was like, nah, amazing. I loved Backstreet Boys. So now we learn, and it's so funny because I don't know any of these niggas' names. Like, I could walk past them in the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Like, literally,
the only one that I recognize is Nick Carter.
I didn't even remember. I remembered Nick by way of Aaron, basically.
Yeah,
because Aaron was like not our age, but like, he was like our age. But yeah, AJ McLean's basically telling us like he auditioned for the Backstreet Boys and he got it. And then the rest of them, it was just kind of word of mouth, or someone knew someone. 2 of them are cousins, and basically that was the group, yeah. And then Nick Carter, as Vikki mentioned, is also in the group. He's the brother of Aaron Carter, who is actually in this documentary quite a bit, and it's really sad to watch, especially because like now we know that he's died. So RIP to him.
Yeah,
he was only 34, you know.
Yeah, he's really young. Like,
that's
really
crazy.
Young. Yeah.
But then when you think about it, because it feels like he's been around forever, and he has.
But I guess he was a child star.
Like from when he was 9, I think he started.
Him and his brother, like when they were kids, they were just in the limelight.
So that was Backstreet Boys. Next we hear about how NSYNC was formed. And so Justin is probably the most famous one at the time because he was on the Mickey Mouse Club with Britney, yeah. And then Lance was like the last one to join and the only one to actually audition because basically everyone knew each other and they were just like, oh, we need like a last person. So that's how the biggest groups were formed, right? And like as trash as this Lou Pearlman guy is, we come to find out, he's responsible for some of these amazing hits that
like two of the biggest
I love
boy bands ever,
because literally two of the biggest boy bands ever, exactly.
And even the blueprint of like boy bands, you know.
Yeah And even something else he created that comes up later on that I was like, rah, was that you? So Lou creates a boot camp for both bands, right? They learn how to dance, sing in this like aircraft bunker thing. There's no AC, like they rehearse 6 to 8 hours a day. And even though it's a lot of work they're putting in, they really enjoy it. And like they're having a great time and they are loving it like this, yeah. Lou is kind of like a father figure to them and he always pays for everything. He takes them to expensive restaurants all the time and he kind of shows them like, look, like this is what success looks like this is what your life could be if you keep working hard, blah blah blah, right?
Wrong.
Right, wrong. So the Backstreet Boys are it. Like they released their first US album and they blow and it's crazy. And at this time NSYNC are kind of like struggling. They're kind of like the little brother sort of thing, yeah, because Lou's putting everything into Backstreet Boys and he doesn't want to upset Backstreet Boys by promoting NSYNC. So it's kind of like, you know, like he tells NSYNC like, listen, I'll get to you, but like I just don't want to make Backstreet Boys upset. And there's this old video footage, yeah, of NSYNC and you can hear like Justin Timberlake talking with his true
proper
motherfucking country,
yes,
proper country, like
no, there's two out there, for real, look out there. Stop, for real. Okay. I'm serious with that. No, look that way. You see them?
He's like, no, there's two of them out there. Look, for real, like they're out there. Look, and I'm like,
and he's like, Miss Da, it's okay.
He's like, Miss Da. It's like this is the Justin Timberlake here that I think of and remember because it's like, right, now you're Hollywood,
JT.
Literally, now you're Hollywood. Where did your accent go, bro?
That's pre-Justified,
mate.
That's Mickey Mouse Club. Justin Timberlake.
I feel like it must be like when he's like really tired or like just woken up, his accent must
comes
peek
out
through.
Yeah,
it must do.
Fair.
Because that was thickums.
I mean, he was probably like what, 17 then, 16.
Yeah, maybe even younger. Yeah. So we get the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC comparisons. Backstreet Boys are more vocal, crazy harmonies. It's more like dark clothing, you know, more like grown.
Like
and this is how I felt about it back in the day. Yeah, and NSYNC are bright, vibrant pop. Like they're all about the dance moves and the cha 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 1 2 3 4 kind of vibe. Yeah,
and more fun, aren't they?
They're more fun, which is a bit of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see why you gravitated more to them actually. Yeah,
I think because I liked Backstreet Boys, but in my head I was like, yeah, but I'm a baby girl, and so NSYNC, you know,
you with your crop tops and your groovy chick trousers,
and doing up dance routines and that. I wasn't out here singing ballads. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to have a good time. I was a young babe. So one day, yeah, and this is how your destiny can just change overnight. Backstreet Boys turned down this Disney performance, and they're not being stush. Like they're just tired.
Yeah,
they've been doing a lot,
months and months and months of constant touring. Literally. Constantly rehearsing, just
they're
like
tired.
One day off, please.
Literally, please, can I rest? Can I live? You know, dear Lord, can I live? Yeah. So then NSYNC are like, great, yep, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll have some of that. And then this performance airs on Disney all day, every day, and like that's the big. It's like the snowball effect begins. So they go from selling 5,000 units a week to 50,000 units a week. Yeah,
amazing.
So deep it, Backstreet Boys was the original gangster, yeah, and now their competition, their baby bro NSYNC, is now on their necks because they declined that Disney show. And on top of that, NSYNC's manager is their manager. Like, is this not a conflict of interest?
The betrayal.
It's wild because it's like, I get that he wants both to succeed, but it's like they're literally in direct competition. It's like being head of Pepsi and being head of Coke,
fam. But
what you
business wise,
for him,
it's a really, really good idea.
Fam, for him, yeah. But the thing is, the Pepsi and the Coke is actually a really bad comparison because the Coke cans and the Pepsi cans aren't going to beef each other.
Yeah.
And they're not going to beef each other like they're inanimate objects. These are human beings. Yeah. who he literally is like pitting them against each
Yeah.
other. He's chatting shit about one to the other. And it's like he didn't have to do that. Like, everyone could have just been happy and been like, yeah, well, we're just gonna I don't know. His whole thing with the Coke and Pepsi thing was like, look, like, if I've got Coke, someone's gonna make Pepsi. Why don't I just make Pepsi and benefit from it? Which I get.
Business wise, it makes sense. Yeah,
it makes sense.
But then,
like, morally,
like, yeah, kind of a bit wonky. I'm looking at you somehow.
You're looking very funny in the light. Yeah.
But I think, like, do you think there is a way that he could have done it where it felt more like honest? Because, like, I don't necessarily see the problem with, like, there being competition for Backstreet Boys. Like, it's normal for somebody else to make a product similar to yours in business, and it's not a big deal. It's like, yeah, cool, but this is our product.
I don't think it's wrong, but I think it's the manager part of it, and him just being a dickhead. Because if they were under the same label, and it's two boy bands, what's wrong with that?
It's
nothing.
different,
And also, yes, they're boy bands, so they're kind of trying to draw the same crowd, but not really, because NSYNC, they're completely different.
The sound is different. The look is different.
The sound is different. The look is different. The vibe is different.
Were older.
They were more mature.
Yeah.
So it's like you could just market them differently. I think the main issue was Lou chatting shit about one to the other.
Yeah.
And basically, I think what it was is Lou spreading himself thin as a manager, And then instead of saying, I can't handle this, you find new management, or you find new management, it was like, oh yeah, the reason I couldn't do this for you is because Backstreet Boys wouldn't let me. Or the reason I couldn't do this for you is because NSYNC wouldn't let me. And it's like, no, maybe you just didn't have the capacity to do both. Now you're playing...
I kind of feel like he was lying about that though, because like they still had their own managers. Like there was that black guy and there was that woman who managed both of them separately. Like they were also part of their management team. So I feel like he was, to me, like his role in everything was like financier, organizer, sort of like the reason, like the catalyst almost. But then like in terms of like the day-to-day running, I do think that he wasn't on his own.
What, Lou?
Yeah, like he obviously had people supporting him, because there's so much work to be done. Like he just can't be.
But I do think that he was trying to minimize the amount of help that he had, because then he could profit more,
keep more in his pocket. Yeah,
exactly.
That's probably also true.
And also we hear about like how much money like
he made.
NSYNC were bringing in, because it's not like, and Lois, again, our talking head, like she makes the comparison, like, listen, like it's not like today where you like stream a song, maybe you'll buy one single a year, if that. Back then people were buying hella singles a week.
It's inconceivable how much music like consumption has changed.
Like it's crazy, just
because of streaming. Like
it's changed everything. Because you would literally, I remember asking for albums for Christmas. Even iTunes, when it first started, you would pay like 99p or something for a song. You actually buy a song. Like in iTunes. Like if you wanted to buy the whole album, you'd buy the whole album so that you have it.
But then a whole album was like $4.99. Yeah. Right? Now it's like minimum $8.99. £10. It's not the same.
It's just crazy.
And
that was even the whole like streaming, like one stream is worth like £0.000 or whatever it is. It's like, who came up with that? Who decided? Who decided?
Like there must be some formula somebody just kind of made up, and then like that was it.
It's arbitrary. I think someone just made it up and then everyone just ran with it.
Yeah, but like even if you obviously you can still buy music now, but like it doesn't make sense to buy every single piece of music that you're going to listen to. Like I still really like to buy albums, and I still do it, but like I buy the album that I know that I love, whereas I used to buy albums because I like the artist, and I would just find out if the album was good after I bought it. Do you know what I mean? But like now you can kind of like preview, and you can listen on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever,
and you have so many options as well. It's like, why am I buying this one album and committing to this one album when I can literally listen to a playlist that Spotify has made just for me? Or I can just like listen to, it is different. I mean, it'd be nice to speak to like an artist and like see like how it affects them. But maybe I'll ask Quaku. So we learned about how much money they made, like NSYNC made.
That was mad.
So they get a per diem, so it's $35 a day. which doesn't actually sound like a lot, but bearing in mind everything in their life was free, like accommodation, dinner. They're not paying for any of that. They're not paying bills. And also $35 back then was definitely more than it was now.
Yeah, but it still feels like a slap in the face, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, don't worry, they get slapped again.
No, but even like just that £35 a day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, it's obviously, like you said, money was,
and they're young and everything, so fine. But like, when you deep it, it's like all of this is like for right now. How are you going to save for your future? What are you going to put into your pension? Like,
that's where the slap in the face comes into it.
Yeah. Speaking of slaps in the face, we're at this point where Lou is doing this check presentation. This is what he calls it, right? So he's going to fly them all out to LA for a dinner and basically present them with like how much money they've made from selling all these records. Yeah. And he takes them to a very lavish dinner. He invites their families. And at this point, like, just for context, yeah, they've sold over 10 million records. 10 million.
Big band,
records,
you know.
yeah. 10 million records, yeah. So even if each record sold for like 50 cents, that's like $5 million, yeah. Split 5 ways, it's like 1 million, yeah. If you even include the cost of stuff, maybe they get 200k, yeah. Everyone's expecting bare money, and like, they're just like so excited. So he opens up the envelope, yeah. He sees the check and his heart sunk.
The check was $10,000. And not to sound ungrateful, because $10,000 is a lot of money. But when you compare it to how many hours that we had put in to this group for years, it didn't even touch minimum wage at all.
These men get $10,000.
10 grand.
Are you alright?
That truly is.
Is everyone okay?
Face. Yeah.
That's a slap in the face and a kick in the balls. Because honestly, Lance makes a really good point, yeah. Because he's like, when you look at how many hours they put in over the years, they were rehearsing 6 to 8 hours a day in that
like
bunker.
3 hours straight, isn't it? I mean, sorry, 3 years straight.
Yeah. Literally touring, doing everything. That's not even minimum wage. They say this, and it's not even to be disrespectful or superior, but if they had worked in Starbucks full time for those 3 years, they would have made way more than that.
Yeah, you would have made like 25 grand per year.
Per year.
I mean, obviously then you have to pay tax and all that kind of stuff, and like
how much would the tax man take?
But they were also like you said earlier, they were living this lifestyle. They had private jets, they had all these nice food, and like, obviously the 10 grand is trash, like that's rubbish because of how much money they made in terms of sales and ticket sales, blah, blah, blah.
How much money they made Lou.
Yeah.
Compared to how much they made themselves.
But I still feel like, you know, the amount of money that they would have spent on rent, on accommodation, on travel, on their just normal food expenses,
listen,
what we find out comes to light that they were robbed,
listen,
innit? But
I spoiler alert, I think though that like the reason why it's fucked is because even if you had given me, say for example, they all would have gotten 200,000, yeah. If you'd given me my 200,000, yeah, I can decide maybe I don't want to take a private jet.
Exactly.
Maybe I want to fly economy. Yeah. Maybe I actually want to share an apartment with someone. Yeah. Maybe I want to. You've not given me this. You literally have made these
my money
decisions.
how I want to.
Yeah, like you're like, because even Backstreet Boys, they're like, hold on a second, our checks are looking kind of light as well. Like, and for them, they're older than the NSYNC lot, yeah. Now they can't afford their apartments, they can't afford their cars, like, and it's crazy because it's mad if you can't afford your life in general, but now you're famous, so you can't even get like a normal part-time job.
It's embarrassing.
Imagine going and seeing AJ McLean giving you Starbucks, but you just saw him performing at the whatever awards.
He's like at the drive-thru, McDonald's like, hey, can I take your order?
This is what I'm saying, it's crazy. So, and this is what I'm saying about like fame, and not even fame, but more like hyper visibility. Yeah, a lot of people want to be like hyper visible and like known in the scene or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean you have money. So now you're a normal person and bare people know who you are.
It's weird. It must be.
And it's
really
like people
weird.
think that it's so weird. People think that because you're hyper visible, you've got money. So even like here, like in the UK, yeah, when they have all these events and stuff and people are talking about what people are wearing and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, bro, if I got invited to a gala now, yeah, I'm going to my wardrobe to look for something. Do you think I have money to go and get specially made garment?
But the thing is that being hyper visible and that invitation allows you access to stuff that you wouldn't usually have. So you could approach a designer house and say, hey, I'm going to be on the red carpet, what can you loan me?
But this is the difference between being hyper visible and being famous.
Yeah.
When you're hyper visible, there is not the privilege attached to
Yeah.
it. You're just bait. Do you
Yeah,
get what I mean?
so. Like,
but when you're famous,
I guess you could
you're
get a
hyper
smaller
visible
brand
with the privilege. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
it just depends on the level of audience that you have, because I feel like there are certain like hyper visible people who are maybe influencers that, you know, aren't famous. Like my mum wouldn't know who they are, but
that's true.
They could actually get a
that's true.
House of CB dress for free, or they could get a.
There's like levels to it.
Yeah, like, you know, they could get a Kai Collection dress for free. Like they could get decent brands. Like I'm not saying those to be like to belittle those brands. They're not small brands.
No, yeah.
But
like,
like,
come on, I love me a Kai.
Yeah, but it's not like Chanel, or it's not like a Givenchy, or it's not like LV or whatever. But they could still walk in and say,
that's true.
Hey, I have 2
I
million
think
followers.
So, yeah,
Can I
it's
buy a
like
dress?
there's levels to the hypervisibility, levels to the fame. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So either way, these men are screwed. so this bit confused me, yeah, and I want to know if it confused you too, because one of the NSYNC members, I think it's JC. I don't recall.
JC Chazé.
Yeah.
I heard something really funny about him.
What?
So apparently after NSYNC broke up, and obviously Justin Timberlake did Justified, and the album was amazing, and everyone was like, oh my god, this guy, and he blew. He was actually, I think, out of NSYNC, he's got the best voice.
Who?
JC has the best voice. His voice is better than Justin Timberlake's. I just think he's not got the look.
Star factor.
Yeah, he doesn't have that, unfortunately.
But he's like that sometimes.
But his
sometimes you just
is
write
fantastic. Like he writes lots of music. He produces.
He probably does write for people.
He's very talented, yeah, and he's on lots of
This is
credits.
my dream. Is to just write
to
for
be
people
rich,
and
but
collect
nobody know.
royalty checks, and nobody knows my name's in the credits. I'm collecting royalty checks every month, and I live my life. I can go to Asda, no problem.
Yeah, Asda. Come on, M&S Waitrose.
M&S. Sorry, I forgot who I was. I forgot who I was. They were the same price these days, fam.
Basically.
Waitrose, I'm there.
You know what? Waitrose isn't that bad.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
But
I'm not pretending it's not as cheap, but it's not actually
do you know
that
what
bad.
someone was saying? That like all these cheap places like Lidl, Aldi and that are like becoming more expensive because of the cost of living, but Marks and Spencer's are now staying the same because they're always expensive. So like, it's not the prices aren't rising by much. So it's like, because there's not that much of a difference now in prices between Lidl and M&S, why am I going Lidl? I might as well go M&S.
Yeah, and get a nicer quality. But then also the thing that's interesting is that like if you get like a Asda's own sandwich and an M&S own sandwich, it could be the same factory that makes both those sandwiches and just puts different packaging on. So you have this perception of, oh, M&S quality is so much better versus Asda, and it could be that's true. Like they might use different ingredients. It is true. Yeah. But oftentimes the same people make those products.
Yeah, but like that's like saying, oh, there's a factory where they make Louis Vuitton bags and they make Shein bags. Okay, yeah, but the patterns are different, the material's different, like everything's different.
Possibly.
That's fine. Just because they're made in the same place. I mean, it's not like it's like, what's that thing they call it where like you basically, I don't know, there's a word for it, but basically, say you have a fashion brand and I have a fashion brand. Oh, I think it's like something label. Anyway, so say we both have a fashion brand, and then like we basically go to the same factory and like we all order the same basically designs, and then I'll put like what Sheree did to She by Sheree. I put my star on it to say, oh yeah,
this
She by BD, and then you put yours She by Vikki, and then it's like the same thing. It's called
the
something
design's
label.
slightly different. I know what,
but the design
I know what you mean. Yeah,
the design's basically the same. It's not like that where they just make the same sandwiches and then they just put their branding. Like, no, I don't think it's this.
That does happen.
I mean, I can believe that it happens. I guess the things that I have had from M&S
definitely
like,
better quality. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, cool. I hear it, and it took me a long time to come to terms with. Then I was like, right, like this is actually going into your body. Do you not want to spend a little bit more, like, if you can,
if you can afford it,
There's some things I'm still going to get from Lidl.
Yeah, certain things.
But certain things I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, it makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But sorry, so I was saying about JC Chazé. So obviously Justin Timberlake's album went whatever double platinum.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did, but probably. And he then got a record deal.
What, JC?
Yeah, and he wanted to basically write this album, not to compete with Justin Timberlake, but like I'm
doing
doing
Justin
me,
Timberlake.
I'm not successful, I'm talented as well, I can do my own thing. So he starts writing this album, and it apparently is very good, but the record label say, okay, Justin is kind of blown right now. In order for you to be able to have your own time, let's just wait. So they push back the date, and then apparently he did like more work on the album, and it was like really experimental, like very like just tried everything, like every different genre, just put it all together, tried it all
in one album.
Yeah. And the album was finally released after like 3 years of them pushing it back, and apparently it just flopped. It just did not sell very well, was not good, and that was the first and last album that he ever made as a solo artist. Yeah.
Oh god,
really sad.
It must be so hard, because the thing is with music here is that, like, I feel like you go into the music industry because you love music
and you have talent.
You have a talent, you have a gift, you can write, you can whatever. And it's like, it's so much more than that. Like, when you're in like the music business, your talent and your love for music is like the least of it.
It's not enough.
It's literally not enough.
You have to look a certain way, unfortunately, and like we are seeing.
But even if you look all that way, like even if you have all those things and you're in the door now, you've been signed, there's still things that are going to cause your album to not go the way you want. Like, it's politics. There's just so much more to it than, I wrote a lovely song and here you go. Like, I feel like you have to get to a really high level and really be running your own shit in order to like have autonomy over what you're doing.
And even then, like the documentary, you could still find yourself in a very, very shitty deal.
Exactly. Exactly. Speaking of which, they go and get their contracts looked at by this lawyer, and it's like, bro, like, why didn't you do this before? Why? Your uncle is a lawyer. We didn't hear about no family feud, so as far as we know, you and this uncle are cool. And the uncle's like, listen, this contract is messed up.
The worst contract he's ever seen.
What Lou did, he made himself the 6th member of NSYNC. Is this not madness?
He's smart. That guy is really smart.
He is not smart. He is cunning. And he is deceitful.
Devious.
And he's devious and he's manipulative. But he is brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, he's so smart. Like, how
like,
did you even think of doing that?
Because now everything was massively split by 6. And then he's also like standing by this decision when they find out, because he's basically, listen, like, yeah, cool, you think this is a big aha moment, but like, actually, I'm helping you out because you don't have to pay a manager or a record label, because that basically comes out of my 6th. So it's like you're already paying for it out of my 6th of whatever. So Lou also tells them that like they're in a lot of debt and that's why they only got 10k. Like, it's going to be a long time before you see any money. And Lance Bass tells us this is when they learn the word recoupable.
That's when we learn the word recoupable. That's a word that's never been in our vocabulary until this moment. And the lawyers were explaining to us, well, the reason you're in debt is because, they spend this money on your record pressing. Then you had this concert, the rent for the house. Oh, all those dinners, those lavish dinners that Lou was taking you to that you were thanking him for, that's your dinners. You were paying for it.
Everything basically you've been living for free, you were paying for it, essentially.
You actually didn't get it for free.
You actually didn't get it for free. And this is what I'm saying. I didn't give you gave it to you. But I wrapped it up. And so now I'm saying it's like I gave it to you kind of thing. Because it's like, if you had just told them that, maybe they would decide, actually, guys, let's do economy. Like, maybe they would have adjusted what it is they wanted to do. Maybe let's just get a tour bus. Maybe let's not fly. Like,
or, let's not have this 10-bedroom mansion. Let's just get a couple of, 3-bed apartments.
Exactly. Let's get some tents. So they decide to file a lawsuit, and everyone's like, oh mate, you don't know Lou, like he's gonna win, and NSYNC is gonna be over, right? And so they're kind of like, oh shit, like, should we do it, should we not, should we do it, should we not? Cool, put a pin in that. We get into Lou Pearlman and who he was, okay, because of course it wouldn't be a documentary if we didn't go back and learn about the bad guy. Okay, so we meet David and Danny Levenstein, who were his childhood friends. I don't know if they're related, but friends. I'm guessing. Yeah, literally, they knew him. I think that they were probably brothers or something, but apparently they were his only friends. We get the typical stuff. He didn't fit in. He was picked on a lot, and like he only had one friend. There's a bit where Danny's like, "Oh, Lou only had one friend," and I thought he was gonna say himself, and he was like, "This guy
not on it." He was like,
"This guy called Alan Gross." He was like, "Why am I here?" I don't know why they put the lower third as friend, but hey ho.
I mean, acquaintance would have been, or childhood acquaintance would have been more.
It would have been like
appropriate.
neighbour. Even acquaintance is a bit strong. So we meet this Alan Gross guy, and he basically tells us that him and Lou were basically close as kids, and they loved blimps. And like, Alan's really cute.
Yeah.
He thought of Lou as like a brother, and they would just look at blimps together, and they were just like the outcasts, but like they had their little tribe, which is cute. Do you know what I mean?
I really felt for that guy, because like you could see that he looked quite genuine, and he looked like, you know, like someone that was just kind of like, oh, this guy's very similar to me, we have the same interests, like kind of included him when everybody else didn't. And
like, he felt like he'd found like not a soulmate, but like a soulmate, like someone who,
a buddy, a partner,
someone who like fucks with the things that I fuck with, and like someone who like likes what I like. So this bit now, we hear about how entrepreneurial Lou was. Okay, so David,
this guy's not been good from childhood.
So when I say sometimes you're just bad vibes, even as a child, like, you're bad vibes. Is she bad to the bone?
Not
so
in a good
David
way
Levinstein,
not with a H, not bad with a H.
So David Levinstein had a paper route. The story goes, emphasis on story, that David is done with the paper route. He wants to leave, so he offers to sell the paper route to Lou for $500. Okay, and Lou is like, do you know what? Cool, I'm gonna buy bare paper routes. I'm gonna hire delivery boys to deliver them for me. Like, I'm gonna have a paper route empire. And then he's like, you know what, actually I'm gonna personalize these deliveries. So it's like, oh, do you want it left on the lawn? Do you want it left in the post box? Do you want it left in the window? Like, whatever. And then he's like, you know what, on top of this, because I'm so brilliant, I'm gonna add donuts to the delivery. I'm gonna do a deal with Dunkin' Donuts. And like Vikki said, I hate to say it, but he really is smart, because that's an amazing idea. Like, you want donuts or coffee with your newspaper, instead of you having to go out and get it, why don't I just bring your newspaper along with that? Let me partner with Dunkin' Donuts and we can get all of this sorted. So it's like amazing. Like, he's able to pay David back his £500, well, dollars, with interest, right? And he makes a huge profit. And I'm just like, rah, like, this is actually mad. Like, some people are actually genuinely very, very entrepreneurial. And then we meet David to camera today, and he's like,
total bullshit. I didn't sell him the paper route. He had nothing to do with the paper route.
That did not happen.
That did not happen.
He was like, you can't sell paper routes. Like, what?
He's like, what? He's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you actually talking about? And it's so funny, because in the documentary, I beg you, watch it, it's on YouTube. They do this whole like animation, all the music and stuff, and then it's just like record scratch bullshit.
It was just the way his face was just like, you couldn't sell them. Like,
I literally, they had me in the first half. I literally was like, rah, like, amazing, that's brilliant. Like, as a child, crazy. Like, how did he do that? David said, everybody, face your front, this is bullshit. A lot of people say about him that he would just dodge questions. Like, he was just one of those people that like would just talk around a subject and wouldn't actually get to the point of the question.
Like, very
he
slippery.
Would brag, very slippery. Like, he would brag a lot about stuff, and like, people didn't really believe him. But one time he says that his cousin was Art Garfunkel from Simon and Garfunkel,
which
and
is
no one
amazing.
believes him.
First of all,
no one believes him, obviously, because they're like, what the fuck. But then like, he's like, he's gonna be at my bar mitzvah. And then like, he's there.
He actually showed up.
He actually shows up.
That honestly, like, he must, I still don't really know if he actually is his family or he found a way, because like, it seemed to me that his parents were like, gave him everything. His dad had a good business, maybe they were wealthy and they had some connections,
maybe they paid him to be there.
That's what I don't really know. They didn't really clear that up, but like,
that actually would make sense
from what it sounded like when his dad had his very like successful business, and his parents like doted on him, gave him everything, and then also being an only child, he could have, you know, and also being this kind of manipulative person, he could have actually been like, hey, for my bar mitzvah, you know, I would love it if he came.
This guy could come. And it's like, they don't know under what guise
because he was like, he loved music, he loved singing, he loved all of that anyway, so he could have just been like, oh, you know, this would just make my whole day. And he could have just got them to find him, but at the same time, he could have been telling the truth. Like, he could have been his family.
That's not his family, man. So Alan and Lou start a blimp company, yeah, and it's doing all right for a bit, but Lou basically starting to deceive clients, right? So he gives them old blimps instead of new ones, and he does this for this famous jeans company called Jordache. And he insures the blimp, and it crashes, and as a result he gets $3 million, yeah. And Alan is starting to suspect Rod, like, this is giving insurance fraud, yeah. And like Alan today, you know, he's cute and nice and everything, but he's kind of like, oh, woe is me, like, I didn't know. And I'm like, bro, like, if you guys are in business together and it's the two of you, like, why are you not more involved in like the happenings and the goings on of what's going on? Like, there's only so much ignorance you can feign. Yeah, exactly.
Like, at this point you're an adult.
Yeah, you're grown, and this is your business as well. This is a 50-50 thing. But this is the beginning and the end of their relationship and their friendship, their business relationship and their friendship.
It's really sad.
And Alan still seems really hurt. Yeah, it's really sad. But Lou now uses this money that he makes from this quote unquote insurance scam to make a bigger blimp company. He has huge clients, including McDonald's. Yeah. And from that, he starts Transcontinental Airlines. He's also selling stock options and retirement accounts with Transcontinental Airlines. And like, at this point, I'm like, rah, where are we going? Like, I did not see the documentary going here. I thought we were just going to be doing bye, 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 bye. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be...
It was like when I was watching it and they got to the point where they had only made 10 grand and they realised the contract was so shady. So I was thinking, rah, this was the con. Right, I was thinking like, this is what he did to them. This is what was so bad. But I still had like an hour left, and I was like, really, what else are they going to talk about?
You're like, where are we going?
Yeah, and then it got to this whole like stocks thing, and I was like, oh,
wait a damn minute.
It's deep.
We meet some of these people who invested in Transcontinental Airlines.
That older lady. Oh,
yeah, that her husband died.
Him.
Oh, 100%. Of course she did. Rubbishing my husband's memory
and
anyhow.
And that poor woman, yeah. Like, her husband passed away. He was in the war. She was showing all of his medals.
He was a prisoner of war. He survived that only to come and be scammed by Lou.
And they wanted to, like, leave a legacy for their children. And then they didn't have anything. Wow.
The idea of this whole thing is to invest and see a return, right? So Lou's doing all of this while he's running like Backstreet Boys NSYNC, so he's kind of leveraging this clout, and we kind of hear later about like how people were kind of like, oh yeah, like I own part of NSYNC or I own part of Backstreet Boys because they have invested with the person who owns them. But we get back to this later on, right? For now, we go back to the bands and the contracts and the trash and stuff like that, right? But luckily, the lawyers find like a little glimmer of hope, a little out, right? The contract is void if Lou didn't sign them to an American label within a certain amount of time. And luckily for them, they had been signed to a German label.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so they're like, great, we can get out of our contract, right? So they tell Louis this, or Louis, they tell like Lou this, and he sues them, right? He sues them for the name NSYNC, yeah? The lawsuit is $150 million. These men made 10K. Yeah, over 3 years. Yeah, that's like 3.3K a year.
Where's this money gonna come from?
So now we meet Cheney Mason, a dickhead, Lou's lawyer, and this guy, for those who are familiar with the case, he represented Casey Anthony. So that told me all I need to know. Yeah, this man.
I didn't know about that case, and then I googled it.
Mate. Wow. He represented her.
Yeah.
He was on her side. I said, okay, cool. That says all I need to know about you. And now you're representing Lou. Okay, cool. I feel nothing for you, sir.
Yeah.
So he basically saying that, you know, oh, the bands wanted to cut Lou out and it seemed really unfair because he'd invested so much money into them. And like, we see this interview with Lou, and bearing in mind, because this is just how I watch documentaries now. Like, I struggle to just watch them as they are. I'm always thinking, why have we not seen this person yet? Because we've not seen Lou during the documentary. And all the footage that we've seen of him is like really old. So I'm like, okay, either he's really on bad terms with everyone, or like he's no longer with us, because So in the interview that we see, Lou says
the kids should take a step back and say, how'd I get here? Who took the risk? Who put up all the money? Who's my real Big Papa?
And him saying Big Papa reminded me of Kim Zolciak. Did you watch Real Housewives back then? I was like, Big Papa? Close your legs to marry men. But he's like, yeah, you know.
What a bad memory. Kim Zolciak.
But he's like, yeah, like I put everything into this. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I hear that, yeah. But like, these men are literally working for free, rehearsing, performing. They are the face. They're making you so much money and you gave them 10K. So I don't care.
£35 a day.
Can you imagine?
Or dollars, whatever.
Dollars even less. Well, I don't know what the rates are saying now. But the judge is like, bro, how can you, Lou, say that you are NSYNC when my daughter has their poster on her wall and you're not on it? Yeah. So the judge, she sides with NSYNC. Backstreet Boys do a similar thing but a bit differently. So they basically just say, John, fuck it, here's 1/6 of everything, piss off. So now Lou is out of both bands. Okay, so there's this little bit where they talk about NSYNC because they're free now, innit? They talk about how they came up with their album title No Strings Attached. I love this album, first of all.
Same.
It's the one with bye bye bye
and
bye,
this video,
that's one
the
with
song
Pop.
yeah
It's a back. I would need to listen to that album, man. It's amazing.
Honestly, like when they explained that, I was watching that like, no way, this is where that's
it makes sense because they were in London at the time. Brap shout out to London town, shout out to my city, and so they're in a cab, and they are basically like, oh yeah, like we're free from Lou, like no strings attached, and remember the music video where they're like the puppets, it's like the puppeteer
it was amazing
thing. I was like, oh my god, like it makes so much sense, and that's the album that really made them like blow.
That's their
like,
biggest album.
That's their biggest album, and it's just like, oh my god, like literally free of the chains.
And it's really mad to think that song that we as like 14-year-olds running around singing, doing bye bye,
probably younger,
probably, that was because of Lou Pearlman. Like that is just an incredible like
as much as I
fate.
don't rate him and I don't like him, like thanks, do you know what I mean? But Lou goes on to create other bands, one a girl band called Innocence, one called C-Note, Take 5, which I knew of, LFO, O-Town. None of them really blew quite the same. They
Take
didn't
5,
pop off.
I remember actually listening to.
I remember Take 5.
They were pretty big actually.
But none else, So now we're here with Aaron Carter. And obviously, Nick Carter, his brother, had worked with Lou before. Aaron Carter works with him when he's 10. His album sells 5 million copies, and I remember him in the Lizzie McGuire movie. He's like, I want candy, dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's so sad, like R.I.P. man, proper sad. So now we find out, remember I said that Lou is responsible for something else, he is the one who started making the band.
Well, was it him or was it because of him they actually did the show?
No, he started making the band.
I didn't
and then Diddy
that.
did a variation of it,
spin-off.
But Lou, because I was like, nah, I'm sure Diddy, look at them trying to steal from a black man again, I was like, I'm sure Diddy. But I googled it, Lou and someone else.
Like the executive producer on the show. He made the show.
Lou and someone else. It's there. Like, if you type making the band, it comes up with Lou Pearlman and whoever the other person was.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's an amazing idea, honestly, because
this
was around the time of it's just sad that he's a shit person because his brain is amazing. Like mixing the bands, the boy band music thing, the trend is dying down, but like reality TV is picking up, so mixing the two, like it's brilliant.
And knowing how much people want to be famous, like there would be a never-ending stream of content. Like, you would never. It's like the audition process would be American Next Top Model. Like season after season after season.
Find something that people want to do, make it seem like it's accessible, and then it's like just continue it forever.
And then literally, give them 2 fame, maybe,
and that's it.
1 platinum song. That's enough.
And that's enough. 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. So all the bands that he creates have shit contracts, and a lot of the members are here telling us, I was told it was a bad contract, but I signed it anyway.
These people
and I'm
are just annoying.
All right then, get off my screen.
Especially that woman from Innocence. What was her name? Nikki something. She was the most annoying one. Like,
I was like, girl.
She went to her own lawyer, and the lawyer said, if you sign this is career suicide. And she said, I still signed it.
She said, okay, thanks.
I was like,
why are you paying me? Why are you paying a lawyer
anything?
When you're not going to take their advice?
But some people want to be famous more than the money because of what fame kind of affords you.
And so that to me is terrifying.
Yeah.
People who just want to be famous, they terrify me.
Yeah.
You're actually a mad person.
Because you don't really have anything to lose.
There's this whole bit about Lou basically being a predator, okay? I had a feeling it would go here because boy bands.
Do you know what? When I started watching it, I wrote this down actually because it was like really stood out to me. I was like, he's coming across as like a creepy, weird guy who may be a bit of a predator. And as the beginning of the documentary was going on, and it kind of got to the bit about him, just being shady with the contract, I was like, Vikki, you really prejudged this guy. Like, yeah, he wasn't a good person, but he didn't sexually assault anyone, or he wasn't a pedophile.
Yeah, like, why jump there?
Yeah, and I was like, just because he doesn't look like somebody who is all the way put together, it doesn't mean that he's going to do that. And I said to myself, like, that's not fair. And then it came up, and I was like, always listen to your gut. Always listen to your gut.
It's like SK from Love is Blind, yeah?
I haven't finished it.
You haven't finished Love is Blind?
No. Stop where you are. Stop right there. Thank you very much.
Can you take your headphones off for a second so I can talk to the people? Take them off right now.
I've already seen a spoiler.
Take them off right now.
Okay, wait. Just...
Okay, take them off. Okay, now it's just us. So SK just never sat well with my spirit, yeah. He just didn't. I just don't know what it was. I was like, this guy... it doesn't sit well with me in it. But then him and Raven did their thing. The reunion came. I said, okay, cool. Who am I? Maybe their man are in love and they're going to figure it out. Maybe timing was just wrong. And then all this Twitter stuff comes out, yeah, about the cheating and the this and the that. I said, yeah, I knew it. I knew my spirit was correct. Okay, come back, girl.
Okay, I just heard like...
Welcome back. Okay, good. Welcome back. So he's basically a predator, so they say, right? Basically things like telling the boys to take off their shirts and show their abs, and him just being really touchy-feely, and everyone's a bit uncomfortable. There's all these rumors, but there's no confirmation. And at the time, Lance is like closeted. He's not come out yet, and he's kind of like, do you know what, maybe Lou's just gay, but he's closeted. He's not a pedophile. Do you know what I mean?
He doesn't know how to like express it. Yeah,
exactly. And so there's a member of O-Town that tells us about this weird experience that he had when Lou was like massaging him like a really strange way. And then we get Aaron Carter.
My opinion of Lou being a sexual predator is that is not true. That is so foul. He would come up to you, he'd teach you how to do push-ups. He taught me how to do diamond push-ups so I could build my chest. And he's a pedophile? Shut up about that, guys.
And like Aaron, I feel kind of like a way, like it's a bit uncomfortable them using him in this documentary, because it's like he's really passionate about this, and he doesn't seem okay, right?
Yeah, he's the only one that had like anything good to say about Lou.
And with so much vim. Yeah. He's also he was the youngest when coming into contact with
I think
Lou, so
you can clearly see in that clip that he's not doing well.
Yeah.
And then also add in the knowledge that we have now, all these years later.
When I first watched this, he hadn't died. He was alive.
Okay, so I watched it the week after the news came out.
I watched it twice. First time I watched it, he was alive. And I was like, oh, this, like, he just doesn't seem like, I really hope he's okay. Like, he just doesn't seem okay. And this documentary is from like 3 years ago, and it was just kind of like, oh, like, I don't know, like, I just feel a way. I understand the importance for him being able to like be part of the documentary and tell his story and say how he feels about things, because I do think it's like, then it's not dogpiling all on Lou, but he just, and even later on in the documentary, there's a bit where I'm just like, this is really uncomfortable. Like, I wish that someone had been like, do you know what, Aaron, we don't have to do this. Yeah, we don't have to do this. But for all we know, he really wanted to be. So I don't know. But Aaron,
I feel like what he was saying, like, I feel like he was being genuine. It's just, how can you, out of 30 man, be the only one saying this guy was good?
It's not even that for me. Yeah, I believe that he believes that it was good. But even the things that he was saying, he taught me how to do push-ups. He was this. He was that. It's like, okay, but Aaron, step back and look at
everything
what it is that
else.
You're saying.
Yeah,
like look at what it is that you're saying. Like, I don't know. It was just, yeah.
I think he's just coming from a place of, without this guy, he changed my life.
Exactly.
And how dare you the opportunity to have a life that was worth living. Yeah. And I feel like for people who don't necessarily have the ability to see wider perspective and to sort of like see people fully, you know, for the good and the bad that they do, I think it's really easy to get into that space of, well, this person changed my life.
Yeah, and also feeling like alone and like, you know, I was young and I was touring and traveling and stuff. Like, how many friends do you really have? Like, what's your village like, really? Like, your village are probably your parents who came with you, and then Lou. And
it seemed like his parents only cared about their kids just being famous, because he said like his brother, when he was in Backstreet Boys, he finished like,
they didn't see
like
him
year 8 or year 9 or whatever, and then didn't see him again. And then his mum pushed him into like stardom.
I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I do think that Aaron was very vulnerable, even here. So it was really uncomfortable to watch. But we get this member of LFO telling the story about Lou on Howard Stern, and we basically hear it. So essentially the story goes, they're going to do business in Europe, but he says that this guy might want to touch your penis. It's how they do business over there.
It's just mad.
And I really don't want you to mess it up, so you can practice with me before you go, but don't tell anyone. It's
just mad.
It's predatory.
It makes me feel
however
sick.
You spin it, flip it, dice it, it's predatory. And these guys are like young. Okay, cool. They're probably like 18 plus, so it's kind of like, oh well, they're old enough, but still it's very weird. And we've spoken on this podcast many times about power dynamics and like consent and like coercion, all that kind of stuff. Exactly.
And you're barely an adult.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
18, like 18, you are just an adult. Like, just
you're legally an adult. But in case you still weren't sure, we hear about this girl from the band, and he had like a tanning bed that they would all use. He had cameras in the tanning bed and really all over the house, but he would show the boys the videos of the girls getting naked before going to tan. And again, creepy. And again, Aaron Carter is back and he doesn't agree.
Right. Where's that footage? Why didn't she sue him? Exactly. Because it's all lies. I went in that tanning bed all the time. My mom did too. She searched through it before she would let me go through it for cameras. So did my dad.
And it's like, Aaron, like,
come on.
Yeah, he's not okay, and I don't think that this is helping. But yeah, again, I don't know the in and outs of his life and everything, but like, he just, if you watch the documentary, like, he just doesn't sound okay, right? So Lou's success grows and grows. He has all these companies. He even gets given the key to the city at one point, and he's doing really well. There's one company that he purchases. It's like some modeling agency. Like, the company he buys, but as he's buying it, like, it's being investigated for pretending to be a modeling agency. Basically, they're scamming people under the guise of like, hey, come and be a model, right? And so many people complained that the FBI was like, okay, fuck it, let's do an investigation. So that's the company that Lou bought, right? Cool. So it's almost like he inherits the investigation, but also he's very dodgy. So, you know, I'm not sorry for him. Also, Lou is besties with this guy called Charlie Crist, right? And they bring this up like just sort of like randomly. He is the Attorney General at the time, and he's also running for governor. And that name, just, I was like, I know this name, yeah. And the reason I know this name is because in episode 53 we did a documentary called Outrage, and he was in it, yeah. And he was trashed then, and he's trashed now.
No way.
Yeah, and it's so interesting doing all these documentaries, because sometimes you see like repeat people around the same time.
Yeah, they're all, because
this is all around the same yeah, and they're like, rah, so you really were out here just like,
and they all know each other all day, or they all help
and
each
they all
other.
know each other.
Yeah.
Speaking of them all knowing each other, because of this relationship that they have in terms of knowing each other, Lou is able to basically buy his way out of this investigation, because that FBI agent is told, listen, we don't need your services anymore, like, chill. And she's with us today in the documentary, and she's annoyed because she's like, bro, like, if this was investigated properly, this like quote unquote little thing, yeah, then what happened later wouldn't have happened, right? We're now back with the investors, normal people, mostly retired, putting their like funds into this transcontinental airlines or whatever. All their life savings, yeah. And they all tell us the same thing, like, they're not getting any statements, they're not getting any checks. And this reminds me of the Real Housewives episodes I did with Annette a couple of weeks ago, where like these lots invested, yeah, and they weren't getting any paperwork about their returns, they weren't getting anything, and they're having to chase these people. Someone who was initially very attentive and very like caring and very like, oh, I'm coming off the phone now because I need to speak to you, you're really important to me. They can no longer access this person, they can no longer, you know, speak to this person.
It's a shame.
It's such a shame. But now Lou's lawyer, Cheney Mason, that dickhead that represented Casey Anthony, yeah, he now tells us, and long story short, because at this point I was like, I'm not here for your tears, like, cry me a river, yeah. Lou ends up cheating Cheney, right? And so because of that, he decides to sue Lou, okay? So Lou hired him, because he was suing NSYNC. He cheats the lawyer. The lawyer now sues Lou and wins 16.5 million.
I just feel like God should have dealt with that guy more.
What, the lawyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously Lou Pearlman is the OG villain in this story.
Yeah, but
like,
they're secondary villains.
How can you like choose to be slimy in your career, and then it's like people that like
complain when you get cheated?
Yeah, that's exactly.
This is the caliber of people that you're dealing with.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It was like people who sleep with somebody else's wife, and then they get into a relationship, and then they're upset when she cheats on them again. It's like, how did you man meet? Do you know what I mean?
Lest we forget.
What did you expect from this person?
Yeah.
So my
feelings for him, it's a level of like narcissism, because it's like 20%. It's a level of narcissism because it's like you just feel like you're above this person doing these things to you. It's like when people are they're not empathetic or even sympathetic to people, like, oh, so they've gone through something, unless like they think that, oh, it can never be me, or like, oh, like do you know what I mean? It's like he's not getting that 16.5 million basically. Well, he doesn't get it.
Lou doesn't have it.
Lou doesn't have it, and he's getting all these loans from banks and stuff, and I'm like, bro, like, but the thing with Lou, is that like he seems like he's rich because if you look at the lifestyle that he has, this is the same thing with Tom Girardi. Like, they give off rich because of the life that they live, but so the investors are like, okay, cool, like he's got money, so we just basically need to find the money and get it back, because clearly he's got money. Listener, they do not get their money back, okay, because it's a Ponzi scheme, right? And apparently there's over 2,000 investors. What? Like,
how did he even build that network? I mean, I can see it, but it's just like so disappointing.
It's mad. And Lou, we've said it, Lou's not stupid. Then he says, you know what, the jig is up. He flees. I'm
out of here.
He said, like, there's sightings of him everywhere, like all over the world. And then we get this tip, and this guy's like, oh, the person you're looking for is in Bali. So they send agents to Bali. Meanwhile, the guy who called the tip is like, hello, where are you? Like, this guy's right here. I'm at breakfast.
I'm looking at him.
Look, here's a picture. I'm looking at him. He sends them a picture of Lou, and in the picture you can literally see the FBI agents on the table, like next to him,
just having breakfast.
That he's there. Just having breakfast. Just having breakfast.
What kind of happenstance is that?
It's mad. Like, sometimes the truth is really stranger than fiction. Like, honestly, it's crazy. So they arrest him, and he pleads guilty to a bunch of charges and gets sentenced to 25 years. So he's in jail, bad man. It's not enough, but he dies. So in 2016 he dies, 8 years into his sentence.
Did they say how he died?
No, and I didn't investigate.
Fair enough.
But that's the documentary.
Mad story.
It's actually very crazy. It's crazy. So many victims.
The maddest thing that I experienced watching it, and I feel like if you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it, because I felt like,
I think so,
when I was watching it, I was like, oh right, so the con is he had this dodgy
music contracts,
and he was, kind of like scamming the artist in a way, and then they kind of show you more about this investing stuff, and you realize that he did the boy bands so he could pay some of the investors and like show that he's making money from that. But then you're like, oh, so they invested in the transcontinental airlines and the transcom business, because he started the blimp company, he started this private jet company, and then you deep that the private jet company wasn't even real, that he used one of the models.
We're gonna wait, we're gonna get into that right now, because it's time for
the real crime. I think was the beard.
Our segment where we talk about something during the documentary that may not be criminal, but we definitely consider to be a crime. I have 3. Okay. Have you got any? I'm going to do mine, and you can think about yours. You can think about yours. So the real crime, I think, first of all, was the name Transcontinental Records. Because what are you saying? Because even our talking head is like, so is there one on every continent, or what is it? What are you saying?
It's a made-up company.
What are you saying? The real crime, I think, was Lou's story about the paper round. Because why would you lie unprovoked like that? Why was the lie so elaborate? Why would you do that? Madness.
It just painted the picture of his madness, like.
I was so happy they included that from childhood.
Yeah, that's it. Like from when he was a kid,
when he was a young boy. Literally, the real crime, I think, was pretending that his airlines were actually airborne. Because honestly, as Vikki said, he never had any planes, okay? What he was doing was leasing planes by the hour as if they were his planes, And then Alan tells us about a time where, like, he held up a model plane, He went to the airport, LaGuardia Airport, And he held up a plane by the tail, the little bit at the end, He held it up by that and literally put it in the air and took a picture and then cropped his hand out. So it looks like one of his planes is taking off with the transcontinental airline.
In the airport?
In the actual air, But actually, there is no such plane. There was no such airline. So these men are investing in nothing.
And the maddest part is, throughout the whole documentary, they're like showing that photo constantly. You're seeing it. You're thinking like, oh, this is a real
airline.
This is real business.
But then it was weird because, and I screenshot it, so I'm going to show you, because if you look at the picture, go on our Instagram, it'll be up there now, If you look at the picture, it literally looks like an aeroplane is taking off.
Yeah.
And it's literally a model.
And like the saddest part of it is that like Alan made that model. Yeah. And then he used it and then cut him from all of the business, from everything. Really sad. I do have a real crime, I think, actually. So for me, let me consult my notes. I forgot what his name is in NSYNC. Chris Kirkpatrick. What the hell were those braids? The braids and the dreads.
I don't remember.
He used to
if I had seen that would have definitely been mine. Let me find. What's his name?
Oh my gosh, that is the biggest crime. Like, nobody told you stop that. No one, not one person.
Don't you ever wonder why
these people?
Wait, is it NSYNC?
Yes, Chris Kirkpatrick.
I can't see them.
Maybe type in.
Oh my god! Yes. Oh my god! I remember now. Oh my god!
That's gonna be on the socials, because people also need to see the horror.
My god!
Of those braids or dreads or whatever the hell they were.
How did I actually miss that? How did I miss that?
Like, I watched the documentary twice and I just kept. And
he's even got it in. He's got it in the two.
It's
he's
bad.
Got it in the two.
It's really bad. That's the biggest crime. But for me, the biggest crime.
Yeah, that was actually the real. I rescind all others. Yeah, no, that was actually remarkable. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Next time, I will be back with another amazing guest while Forend is on her hiatus, and we will be covering Hulu's new documentary, God Forbid. And I'm not gonna lie, I've seen it and it's mad. I'd actually heard of the story before, but like watching the documentary on it, I said, nah, this is crazy. I cannot wait to cover it. For my UK girlies who want to watch it, I was able to watch it on Disney Plus, but I used a VPN and set my location to Canada. So I hope that helps you watch it. You can find it like that. I also did a TikTok about it. There's not really specific spoilers on that, but it gives you an idea of what's going to happen to see if you'd be into it. But it's actually crazy. Like, I'm excited to be able to do an actual episode on it so I can talk about it in full with another special guest. So
I'm definitely going to watch that before I listen to the episode.
It's watch that.
Thanks
watch
for the
it.
VPN
Literally.
hack, because I will.
Yeah, VPN. Yeah, VPN. Set it to Canada. I think you can set it to Canada or Australia, and it will come up on Disney Plus. Because I was like, now I need to get Hulu again. I was like, how many fucking streaming services am I gonna have? Like, but yes, that should work for my UK girlies or whoever is not in the US or whatever. They should work wherever you are. Great. So in the meantime, between time, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, 2girls1doc, at 2girls1doc podcast on TikTok, and 2girls1doc@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, share with a friend, rate us, where can they find you? Do you want to be found?
No, thank you.
Not really. Okay, well, you can find her on our Instagram, because that's where I'm going to post her beautiful face. So till then, that's
Ciao.
it. Anything you want to say to the people then?
This was really fun. I had a really fun time. Obviously,
I'm glad
you're my
you
bestie,
did,
so it was nice catching up, chatting.
And did you watch Drag Race?
I didn't. I watched the last week.
What? Who? Oh, when they did the double save.
That was such a weird episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
What happened again?
It was that stupid.
Oh, it was the
Big
acting
Brother
challenge,
thing.
the squirrel games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the acting challenges are always just so weird,
No,
man.
but like this was really bad. Like, what was that?
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it at all.
It was like Hunger Games / Big Brother / some. I don't know. It was
weird. Yeah.
It was really weird, and I kind of suspected they were going to do a double save. I think the storyline is that they want to give Jombers that
Redemption arc.
Yeah, but also like the opportunity to really show who Jombers is, and you know, build.
They've given her a really shit edit. Like, I feel like it's like
intentionally
bullying adjacent.
But I think it's intentional so that like we can see Jombers' self-esteem build, and I feel like he's going to go
they tore
home
down
next. Like he's not going to win. But I think what they're trying to do is be like, listen, anybody can get to the top.
I don't know about the self-esteem thing, because I feel like they basically tore down her self-esteem, and then they're like, okay, great, now we're going to build it up. What was the point of all that?
Well,
because she was fine, she was loving herself.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Rue was like, you know, draw your lips a bit better, but she did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, they're like, oh, we don't know who you are, who are you giving? And it's like, babes, I'm giving fashion, which she is.
Yeah, I think.
And all
it's just
Pixie's doing is, oh, I'm Pixie.
It's just for the drama of the whole show, isn't it? Like, if it's not dramatic, then it's
I wish
boring.
you watched this episode. Yeah.
Is it really a gag?
I mean, no, I just enjoyed it.
I probably will. I'll watch it probably watch it on Tuesday.
It's okay. We'll discuss.
Of course.
But yeah. All right then. Let's be going.
Bye.
Bye.
As a pool attendant, I would get hit on, but if I would have known that accepting this woman's invitation to go back to her hotel room would have led to a scandal involving the president of the largest Christian university in the world and the president of the United States, I would have walked away and just enjoyed my private life.
The Falwells are the Southern Gatsbys. They're wealthy,
powerful, with a Christian's communications empire.
And they're sloppy.
They have a public image, but behind the scenes, they're freaks. At the time, I didn't really know who they were.
My brother was at the age of one of their sons. He started being friendly with the kids.
They had no idea that their dad liked to record his wife having sex with me.
What is happening?
Becky was in love with this kid. Jerry was looking at keeping his wife happy. They were bringing him into a world he couldn't imagine. Real estate, politics.
He was on top of the world.
I'm like, this is it.
I have never heard of anybody buying some kid that they met at the pool $4.5 million business. Like, what's going on?
We have a very powerful endorsement coming.
Jerry Falwell Jr.
Trump didn't fit the model of the evangelical candidate. There was some sort of relationship between Falwell, the pool attendant, Trump, and Michael Cohen.
He was paid to dig up dirt on people and control them with that dirt.
I'm screwed.
This is where it became dangerous.
You don't know what lengths people are willing to go when they have so much to lose.
If they wanted to make me disappear, they could do it.
The Falwells are predators. Anytime you have sex and then mix religion, that's some nasty, nasty shit.
It was an atomic scandal. Jerry Falwell writes, I was not involved.
I know the truth about them, and the whole world is going to find out.